Good morning. It's great to be with you here, at least virtually. I have some very exciting things I want to share with you today. So when we started StockCharts.com back in 1999, we had a vision of helping everyday online investors make better investing decisions using web-based tools. Since then, we've worked tirelessly to deliver on that vision. Over the years, StockCharts.com has provided online investors with award-winning financial charts, technical scanning tools, insightful market commentary from legendary experts like John Murphy, Martin Pring, and Larry Williams, educational articles that are both authoritative and easy to understand, and market data that is specifically curated for technical analysis. It is this combination of great tools, great commentary, and great education that helps our users improve their investing outcomes by helping them spot trends and gain insights that others might have missed. Over the past 2 decades, our primary charting tool, called SharpCharts, has helped millions of investors visualize and profit from the markets. SharpCharts provides investors with high-quality chart images, perfect for detailed analysis over long time periods. But today, I'm excited to announce a new charting tool has joined our ranks, StockChartsACP. StockChartsACP brings advanced interactivity, extensible analysis, streaming technical data, and chart-based trading to StockCharts. It is a true game changer for online investors. The letters ACP stand for Advanced Charting Platform. And of course, as a StockCharts product, the A and the C kind of go without saying. That's what we do. But as you'll see during this presentation, the best part of StockChartsACP may be its unique ability to serve as a platform for advanced stock analysis. So out of the box, StockChartsACP provides all the same indicators and analysis tools that our older SharpCharts tool provides. However, ACP provides them in a new way, web-based, highly interactive, full screen, streaming with much more detail, many more colors, and it's just much more customizable than anything we've done before. So in short, out of the box, StockChartsACP provides everything our users expect from a StockCharts charting tool and more. However, again, unlike other charting tools, StockChartsACP can also be extended via its plugin capability. Plugins allow you to add advanced analysis capabilities from a wide variety of technical experts. This is revolutionary because it finally allows you to incorporate different analysis philosophies into your charting tool. At StockCharts, we realize different investors have different approaches. There's no one-size-fits-all approach to market analysis. And so with StockChartsACP plugins, you can incorporate the same indicators, the same tools that your favorite expert uses on their own charting platform, and you can do it with just a couple of mouse clicks. So throughout much of the rest of this presentation, you're going to hear from a wide range of experts about how ACP plugins can improve your investing results. You'll also see these plugins in action. So in addition, though, be sure to stick around because at the end of today's event, I'm going to have a special guest join me on this virtual stage we've got going here, and I'll have some special announcements. Now, I know what you're probably wondering, so let's get it out on the table right now. StockChartsACP is available now for no additional cost to StockCharts.com members. And there's even a free version that's available for anyone to use. Simply go to StockCharts.com/ACP to get started. I could not be more proud of the work done by the programmers here at StockCharts to bring ACP to life. The energy and passion they have brought to ACP really shows in the product. I want to take a moment to thank and acknowledge their efforts. Thank you, Team ACP. And speaking of teams, I now want to bring in 2 important teammates of mine that will help us get through the rest of today's launch event, Grayson Roze and Dave Keller. Hey, guys.
Hey, Chip. Hey, Chip. Good morning.
Good to be here.
Good morning. So, Grayson, we've been working really hard on ACP for a long time. Can you tell people a little more about the process?
Yeah, it's wild, Chip, to think back 3 years ago to the start of this project. Really, to us, you and me, and the team sitting around the conference room table and thinking, what more can we do? There's so many incredible web technologies out there now that we can take advantage of, and that we were building into other features that you see around the site. But we sat there and we said, we need this in our core charting tool. We need to bring these amazing visualization technologies to our charting platform, to our main sort of core, bread and butter feature. And we just got so excited, all of us there, the tech geeks. I mean, we really are tech geeks here at StockCharts. And to think of us sitting around that table getting so excited about this project. But I mean, to think that it's been a 3-year effort with the team. And I think you really nailed it. I'm so proud of the team and what we've accomplished in the last couple of years. It's amazing to have this vision, this big sort of light at the end of the tunnel that we've been driving towards for so long, and to see it really sort of come to fruition now is just an amazing moment. So, it's so fun to be here. We've been shooting towards this launch event for so long, and just to see the result of what we've built. I'm just so proud of everything we've done with ACP. But then to think that it's really only the beginning. We think back to the evolution of Sharp Charts and how that tool evolved over so many years and will continue to evolve. But to think that ACP is really just sort of in its infancy, and it's only getting going, it's just such an amazing moment for all of us and for our users to be bringing out something like this that's so new, so revolutionary, as we're going to really dive into here in our ACP event. So, Dave, I know you've seen a different side of it, working with so many of the commentary partners. What have you seen? What are you excited about with ACP?
Well, I tell you what, Grayson, as I'm hearing you talk, I'm thinking not just about the team inside of StockCharts.com, but the team we've built outside of StockCharts.com. All the contributors that have contributed great content, great commentary, great expertise to our users for years. But now we've been able to engage with them, you and I and the developers, one-on-one, really focusing on bringing their expertise, their toolkits into ACP, and the whole plugin environment was an idea we talked about, and I love the fact that it's here, and we've been able to fine tune people like Larry Williams and Mish Schneider and Dave Landry, Arthur Hill, and others to come, and really sort of focus on their toolkits and again put their toolkits in front of our users. I think the other thing I'm really excited about as well, guys, is the platform nature of it. Chip, you hit on the idea that to the advanced charting platform. And when I think about all the systems I've used in my experience as an institutional investor, it was all about a platform. It was all about a place where you could look at not just charts, but all the information you needed, manage your portfolio, look at your watch list, follow all the important data. And we're actually now providing that through StockChartsACP.
It's true.
On that note, guys, let's get to it. We are proud, everyone, to present to you StockChartsACP.
ACP stands for Advanced Charting Platform.
What it is basically an interactive way to view the markets.
We've designed StockChartsACP to be as interactive as possible, but yet still use all of the technical analysis approaches.
It's dynamic, it's fluid, it's interactive, it's everything someone like me would want from a charting platform.
But it's a lot more than that. We're bringing tons and tons of different tools and features into the charts to create this sort of full experience around it. That's why we call it a platform. It's more than just charts. There are sidebar views, there are all these different customizations that you can bring in.
People are going to be able to reach in and change the data, interact with the data, see how the data behaves as it changes over time.
Now I think the next level of technical analysis is all about data visualization, different ways to visualize price and breadth and sentiment and the relationship between those.
What we're doing with StockChartsACP is bringing you this dynamic tool where you can really kind of almost reach out and grab the charts with your hands. You can drag things around, you can move indicators above and below and from panel to panel.
The goal of technical analysis has always been and remains finding trends before anybody else finds them and writing those trends to completion. StockChartsACP gives you many different opportunities and ways to do that in a more interactive world.
I think what we're bringing to The future of technical analysis with StockChartsACP is a much more engaging way to chart the markets and to see what's happening in the financial markets.
ACP is really designed to be a dynamic charting environment. So it's the type of thing you would have up all during the day, right? When you have I always think about, if someone asks me, what do I think about stock XYZ? What do you look at? What's that first thing you look at to make your decision? And I'm looking at ACP and looking at a combination of charts that allow me to answer that question as quickly and as concisely as possible.
You know, if you're charting the markets, if you're using technical analysis and you're looking for an edge in your analysis, in your approach to the markets, you should be using StockChartsACP. It's the latest from StockCharts. It's really the next generation of StockCharts technology, and we're positioning this as the future of technical analysis. It's bringing you so many different ways to see the markets, engage with the markets really, and interact with your charts. That's what ACP is all about.
StockChartsACP allows you to interact with the data. If you want to be watching the data update in real time, you want to be seeing all the technical analysis features of a chart change in real time, StockChartsACP is for you.
StockCharts.com, the traditional sharp charts, the traditional charts, are very powerful, very beautiful, but somewhat limited. And what ACP allows us to do is do all sorts of dynamic charting. So I think the traditional stock charts will remain, will continue to support those. And I think there are times like giving a presentation when StockCharts.com is going to be perfect for that. I think ACP is going to be the place when I'm trying to go through a bunch of stocks, review the S&P 500 and start looking for patterns. Anything where it's repetitive and visual and interactive, ACP is going to be perfect for that.
It uses the same data that StockCharts.com has always used, and that data is prepared for technical analysts and technical analysis to be used. And then StockChartsACP is extensible. It allows you to bring in, again, these best of breed plugins, these really nice additional analysis capabilities that you can find nowhere else.
We've got so much more coming to it on a weekly basis. I mean, at this point, it's not even on a monthly basis or a quarterly basis. Every week, we're bringing out new and exciting features to StockChartsACP.
It's really meant to draw you in. You're going to have a conversation with the charts. You're going to, interact with them, put your analysis directly onto the chart. And because it's an interactive visual experience, you can be, drawing things, saving things, sharing things very quickly, all from that dashboard. And so I think the times I will be using it is when I want to dig into a stock or a theme. I want to look at biotechs and how they're rolling over. I'm going to look at ACP, and that's going to be my desktop, my dashboard, with which to make a good decision about the group as a whole.
So I think the biggest benefit of ACP is that it is a true platform. It's not just a single chart at a time. You don't have to leave the platform. Everything is right there for you. And with plugins, you get to bring even more exciting features in from some of the best analysts out there that are actually bringing their work, their custom indicators into the platform. It's a fantastic way to just get more and more and more in your charting experience all in one place.
We're very fortunate at StockCharts to be partnering with some fantastic analysts, strategists, traders, guys like Larry Williams, Dave Landry, Arthur Hill, many, many more. And we have a group that we're continuing to work with to design new plugins. The whole idea is we will take parts of their expertise, parts of their toolkit, and dump it right into ACP in the form of really fantastic visualization. So really speak to their expertise, but embed it directly into your charts.
So ACP has been specifically designed to be extensible via plugins. We know that there are many, many different ways to do technical analysis and to analyze stocks. No investor is the same, and no analyst is the same, so on and so forth. So the ability to bring different approaches to technical analysis into the tool is what plugins really represent to me. As stock charts, we can't necessarily say this approach is better than that approach, because for different investors, that's not entirely true.
So we've partnered with some of the best indicator creators, chartists, the experts that have been doing this for a long time and really innovating in the field of technical analysis. We've partnered with them to bring their work into ACP, build on top of it, and bring what we're calling plugins to the platform. So these are additions that you can add, kind of extensions that you can add to the platform to sort of customize it, make it your own, add more to it.
You can pick and choose the plugins that work for you. and that are related to your style of investing. And so that really customizes things, and you end up with an environment much less generic, much more tailored for your type of investing.
You know, I think one of the features that I'm most excited about with StockChartsACP is the ability to create these dynamic multi-chart layouts. It's not just about viewing one chart at a time. You can create multi-chart layouts with multiple panels on the screen, and so you can build sort of a custom view of the markets. Now, let's say you're viewing one stock. You can actually set up multiple panels so that you can view that same stock or that same ETF, whatever it is, in multiple time frames, maybe a daily, a weekly, a monthly, maybe even an intraday chart there on the screen. So this ability to create these dynamic multi-chart views is a fantastic feature of ACP, something that I'm personally very, very excited about.
I really am excited about ACP because it's kind of an environment that you make it full screen, you then just are able to live inside of it. You're able to see all the charts that you need to see, do all the analysis that you need to do, and trade inside of ACP. So it is truly a stock charts trading environment that I think people can basically spend all day in.
So for me, I'm really excited about the list management features. So we actually have your chart lists embedded into ACP. We have the scooter reports, the StockCharts technical rating. So you can actually look at stocks that are in strong uptrends, strong downtrends, look at stocks that have had quick shifts in their trend, momentum shifts. That's all driven from the scooter rankings. But one of my favorite parts is there's a panel at the bottom that's going to allow you to create custom lists, essentially turn stock charts into an Excel spreadsheet with really cool technical fundamental data, and that's going to be a fantastic resource for investors.
Wow, that's really exciting stuff. I love that. Okay, we have a lot more information for you today, but again, if you can't wait to get started, simply point your browser to StockCharts.com/ACP and give it a try. Next, I've asked StockCharts Chief Technical Analyst to provide us with some context for just how far the field of technical analysis has come since the early days. John Murphy is regarded by many to be the father of modern technical analysis. John's market insights have been a core feature of StockCharts.com since 2003. He's the author of numerous books on the topic and the recipient of just about every award out there. John continues to help our members understand the market in his direct, no-nonsense style. A couple of days ago, I sat down with John virtually to get his thoughts on how far charting has come during the course of his career. So hi, John. Thanks for joining us. I just wanted to get a little perspective from you on kind of the history of charting from as you've seen it grow over the years. How did it start for you, and then how have things changed and evolved over the time?
Well, first of all, I have to warn you, I go back a long ways. I've been charting for about 50 years. I got into it by mistake, actually, in the late 60s. I was looking for a job on Wall Street. I had no real qualifications. And someone was looking for someone with no experience to handle it. It was a portfolio manager. He wanted someone to do his charts for him. And believe it or not, in those days, the charts were done by hand. So my job was to sit around and do the charts for this guy. And so that's sort of, and I had a knack for it. I liked it, and I got involved with it. And that's sort of how I got involved with charting. A couple of years later, I moved over to Wall Street, and I got a job with Merrill Lynch. I was in the technical analysis department for commodity trading. And there again, most of the charts were done by hand. We literally had a staff of people whose job was to update our charts every day. I mean, it's hard to believe that 50 years ago, even at a firm like Merrill Lynch. Now, things got better as years went on. We started experimenting with, there was a company called CompuTrack in the 1980s that really revolutionized you could use a personal computer, an IBM, and we could start charting. And it started to get a little better from there. But still, when I look at what we have now and what we had just 20, 30 years ago, it's just so primitive. The biggest problem we had, Chip, to be honest with you, wasn't so much the charting capability, but was the view of charting. You know, charting was still a very, very small part of, even on Wall Street, it was a very, most of the technical departments, even at Merrill Lynch, were very small. And so that it wasn't really as well recognized. Today, I mean, it's just, not only with the computers, but you no longer have to explain to people that technical analysis works. They know that, and they're here hungry for information. So it makes the job a lot easier.
Now, I know one of the books that you wrote, you've written many books over the years, but one of the books you wrote that spoke to me initially was the visual investor, and just the whole concept of charts as a visual medium for seeing the ebb and flow and trends going into Wall Street. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, I've never liked the term technical analysis. I've never understood what technical means. I was working at CNBC at the time. I was doing 3 or 4 shows a day to them. This was back in the 1990s. And we were developing quite a following of people, but they didn't really totally understand what we were doing. So we came up with the idea of why don't we write them? Because most of my books had been written for professionals. So we said, why don't we write a book for the average investor, you know, the mom and pop person out there who's not necessarily sophisticated in this, and let's not even call it technical analysis. Let's call it visual analysis. And we said we're going to explain to you what those squiggly lines mean. So I wrote a book for the general public. I won't say we watered it down, but we simplified it. I just very simple, some basic charting concepts, a handful of indicators, maybe a teeny bit of intermarket analysis, but just tried to make it simple and said, if you just master these few things, you can do a pretty credible job of charting. So I like visual analysis. I like the term because this is very visual and it's less intimidating than the word technical, which basically means nothing.
No, it was a great book for me. I know it's been a great book for other people. It also just opens your eyes to that technical analysis can be as simple as you want it to be, or it can be as complex as you want it to be. Different people do it in different ways, but things like trends are very easy to visualize on charts once you have the charts. And I guess, again, we've migrated now from drawing by hand to the computer and now to the internet. And charts are everywhere.
Absolutely. And the thing that really blows my mind with the charting is the fact that it's live. Even just a few years ago, there was some very good technical analysis or visual analysis platforms out there that you could use. But at the end of the day, you had to upload the data, and then the next day, now you just put it on. Everything is streaming. You can call up any chart, anything you want. It's mind-boggling to be any stock. ETF, I happen to be a big fan of ETFs, and that's probably where most of my work is. You can call up any ETF and you can put up a 5-minute chart. It's right up to date. And I know you can trade instantly and do all kinds of things. So, but I will say that as far as my overall philosophy, Chip, I still take a fairly simple approach to charting, and I guess it's just the way I was raised. I mean, I still believe you have to look at a chart. Is the trend up? Is the trend down? I still look at support and resistance levels. I still draw trend lines. I don't do them by hand anymore, but I draw trend lines. I use a handful of, indicators, moving averages. I probably don't use more than 5 or 6 different indicators. So it still comes down to charting. And that's one of the things about the chart is that, you still have to know how to read it. It's one thing to have the charts presented to you as you do on StockCharts. But you still have to know how to read the chart. So I think it's one thing to provide people with the charts, but I think it's also important that we educate them on how to use those charts.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I know another thing that you've done a lot of over the past couple of years has been the comparison charts and looking for relationships between different indicators, different segments of the economy, intermarket analysis, that kind of thing.
Yes, I got into market analysis about 20 years ago when I started to notice the correlations between all the different markets. Something simple like when the dollar goes down, gold goes up, something like that. So these correlations are extremely important. And even within the stock market itself, I spend a lot of time looking at sectors, see what correlates with like the price of crude oil affects the energy stocks. There are all kinds of relationships. Interest rates affect bank stocks, things like that. So correlation is very, very important to me in comparison charts. In fact, the last intermarket book that I did was written, I think, about 5 or 6 years ago. I used the StockCharts comparison charts. And one of the revolutionary aspects of that was that they were actually in color. In the old days, you were using comparison charts and they weren't in color, so it was very, very hard to do. So color is also maybe these but comparison charts to me are very, very important, and correlations and all this kind of stuff. So I place a lot of importance on it. I think it adds another dimension to technical analysis.
Okay. The other nice thing about technical analysis is that it works on so many different time frames. You can look at long duration charts, you can look at short duration charts. Of course, a lot of people nowadays, everything's on the internet, everything's hurry, rush. So a lot of people are looking just at the 1 minute charts or at the really, really short time frame charts. But it's the longer duration charts can help too, right? You still probably spend more of your time on the longer ones.
Well, I think the people who do the intraday charting, and that certainly you can do that. I think they're more day traders probably, or very, very short-term traders. To look at hourly charts or 5-minute bars. I think most people use daily bar charts, and that seems to be the main time frame. If they want to really look beneath the surface, they can go to intraday charts. But I think it's important to recognize that weekly and monthly charts, are actually more important in some ways. Weekly charts really define the major trend in the market. And we have all kinds of indicators that we can apply to those weekly charts. So the weekly chart, monthlies also to a certain extent, but you don't have to look at those all that often. But the weekly charts really, you have to look at that to really determine what is the major trend of any market you're looking at. You're always looking for any signs of a reversal. And then once you have set the trend, let's say assume the trend is up, then you can go to your daily charts. If the trend is up, then you would be trading from the long side on the daily chart. So the weekly chart sets the trend, and then when you get to the daily chart, you can trade in the direction of that trend. But I'm not sure today that a lot of people look at those weekly and monthly charts as much as us old timers do, but it is really important to keep a long-term perspective on things.
I agree. I'm sure everyone wants to know this, John, so I'll go ahead and ask, how many charts do you look at each day?
Maybe 40 or 50 charts, something like that. I don't look at a tremendous number of charts. What I do is, Chip, is I have a system that I work through each day. I go to the market summary page, and I look at what's the big arrows, the big green arrows, the big red arrows, and I look at what's going up and what's going down in a big way, and then I look at those charts. And then I go to the sector summary page, and then I go to the market carpets page. So I'm always looking for I'm looking for sectors that are leading on the upside or leading on the downside. So it's kind of a filtering system. So I try not to look at too many charts, because then but I'd say over the course of the day, I may look at 40 or 50 different charts. I just glance at them very quickly. I don't analyze the charts. I'm just, if I'm looking at a sector, for example, that's doing very well, and I'm looking for leading stocks, I either like the chart or I don't like the chart. So I just glance at them very quickly. But I try to limit the number of charts that I look at, but over the course of the day, maybe 40 or 50 different charts. Trying to find that one that's going to work.
Kind of imagining John with the Matrix. You're kind of looking at the market like they look at the Matrix in the movie with all the numbers coming down.
It's all moving parts. I'm looking at what the dollar is doing, what interest rates are doing, what gold is doing, what foreign stocks are doing, what sectors are doing, and trying to fit it all together.
I don't know about you, but for me, along with many technical analysts, technically oriented investors, John Murphy's book was the first thing I read about technical analysis. That's what introduced me to the concepts that I now use every day in my investment process. And the chance to hear from a master like John Murphy is a rare treat. It was pretty cool to hear him and Chip talk about just his career, the evolution of technical analysis. Our next conversation, I actually got to sit down with Ralph Acampora, who's a mentor of mine and a mentor for pretty much most of Wall Street. He's known as Educating Wall Street, teaching Wall Street how to use technical analysis. He taught at the New York Institute of Finance and has been in the financial industry for over 50 years. We actually shot an award-winning documentary in Minnesota at Ralph's farm, where he painted the largest painting of the Dow Jones Industrial Average anywhere in the world. We sat down with Ralph recently, got to talk to him about his career. And in particular, we talked about the role of the chartist. See, when he was starting in the 1960s, technical analysts weren't called technical analysts, they were called chartists, because over 90% of your time was spent actually creating the charts. We talked about the value of visualizing data, how that's evolving, and really the future of technical analysis and where we're headed. Here's my conversation with Ralph Acampora. So Ralph, listen, it's such a pleasure to sit down with you. The moment we start talking, the moment the video pops up, I'm immediately going back to our visit with you in Minnesota. It was the end of last year, which feels like a lifetime ago, but had so much fun visiting you in the life-size, if not bigger than life-size version of the Dow that you painted on your barn outside of Minnesota. I think people are probably very familiar with you and all that you've done, but I'd love for you to talk about the early days of how you got started. And you often described your early role as not necessarily as a technical analyst, but as a chartist. Can you tell us why that is and what the process was of charting when you were getting started?
Well said, David. Charting, that's exactly what we did. We were saying before we started the recording that years ago, I'm going back to 1967. I didn't say 1867, 1967. We had a staff of people that would update indicators, the advanced decline line, and all that stuff, which was very important to us. And we needed the data every day. And yes, there were publications at the time that you would get over the weekend, but we didn't have time for that. In fact, I worked for a wonderful guy by the name of Alan Shaw, and my job was to update point and figure charts almost every day. And we had a library of over 2,000 graphs. And at the end of doing that, I had to report back what I saw, breakouts and breakdowns. So I was the walking computer. It was fun. It was fun. And you know what, Dave? I don't want to sound like an old man, but you got a feel for things a little different than just sitting there and watching television.
Well, I tell you, some of the best advice I got getting started as a technical analyst was to do certain things by hand. And I remember keeping a book. Louis Yamada convinced me to make a book of the Dow stocks and update the point and figure charts every day. And I learned that discipline. I feel much better by doing it manually. I'm thrilled that I don't have to do that every day now. but as learning the process, it made a huge difference for me, I would say.
Yes. You know what I do today? It's a little bit of both. I have my computer system and I hook up my Excel spreadsheet and have all of the stocks I want to follow, all the S&P 500 and all the Dow stocks, you name it, and all the ETFs. And I put in the support and resistance levels and trends. And the machine watches them. When they're broken, guess what? It gives me a little bleep and I change them. So I'm not making the charts, but I'm updating them. That's right. Boy, that's fun. That is so much fun. Nothing moves without me knowing about it.
I love that. There's a value in that. Now, one of the things when I think about our visit with you in Minnesota and walking around your barn together and talking about market history, just the power of charts and technical analysis to tell a story, just to paint a narrative was powerful. It was palpable as we were sitting there. Can you give us an example or just tell us a little bit about over your career about the power of charts, power of technical analysis to really bring a story to life or tell a story?
Well, the oldest living technical analyst that I ever met was a man by the name of Ken Ward. Mm-hmm. And in the early 60s, this is the 50th anniversary of the Market Technicians Association, which is now the CMT Association. Mm-hmm. And a young analyst by the name of Johnny Brooks and I met. And we were talking about, hey, why don't analysts get together? The fundamentalists do it. Why don't the technicians do it? And that's how we started. And at the first meeting that we had, I met Ken Ward. And this is 1970, and Ken was about 80 years old. So that meant he lived through every bull and bear market in the 20th century and wrote about it.
Yeah.
So I asked him, I said, Mr. Ward, what was the most difficult market you ever worked with or had to deal with? And he said, I said, oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Ward, that's a stupid question. It has to be the crash of 29. He said, no, it wasn't. With a grovelly voice. He said, no, don't get me wrong. We lost some money. The worst market for him and a lot of his friends was the early 60s. I said, but it went up.
Yeah, raging bull market, right?
And he said, yeah, but we never thought it would go higher. It was overbought and all this sort of stuff. And I never forgot that, because in the mid 90s, 1995 to be exact, I had the same problem. The Dow was up 900 points and no correction. I said, my God, this is crazy. I went back and read every Wall Street Journal every day for that 6-year period that he talked about. And I found a reason for why the market was going. It was low inflation, low interest rates. So the direction of the market, vis-a-vis the technical, forced me to go back and do some homework. And I did. And I found the fundamental reason for why that was the beginning of what we now know as the roaring 90s.
That's such a great example. And it makes me think of just, time at Fidelity, where working with portfolio managers, where the charts would sort of compel you to sort of dig into the reasons. The charts told you what happened. And as you have said so beautifully, you can't restate the price, right? This happened. The price on the chart happened. Yeah. But it's sometimes the end. I mean, sometimes the answer is on the charts. Sometimes it helps you ask the right questions, I guess, right?
Yeah. Well, I remember standing in front of a bunch of SEC lawyers, Securities Exchange Commission, defense of the certification exam. One of the lawyers shoved a chart in my face. He said, what's fact on this chart? And I looked at it. I said, well, price is a fact. His eyes went like this. And I said, and I put my finger on his chest. I said, earnings are an estimate. You restate earnings, but you never restate the chart. He said, damn good answer. I said, you better believe it. But that's a fact, though. When you think about it, you're looking at facts. This is what people think it's worth.
Yeah, right.
And
right.
Go find a reason for it. Or don't fight the trend, is the old saying, but it's true.
Right.
Friend's your friend.
How have you, over your time, I mean, when you've obviously had such a successful career and you've educated so many people on using technical analysis, how do you help people understand how charts fit into their overall process, right? How do you help them understand how the chart should be a part of their thinking, and where does it fit in with other disciplines?
Yeah, well, as I just mentioned, I tell people don't try to second guess it. The simplest approach is the best. I know I'm very impressed with all these oscillators and Fibonacci, Liberace numbers that we have and all the sort of stuff that it is. And I think people get so involved with the indicators and less with the price of the stocks. I say, strip all that aside, look at it. You want to know what momentum and flow of funds are. That's very, very important. But the price, just look at the price. If you like the trend, stay with the trend. When it starts to look like it's losing momentum, one of your indicators, you watch it even a little closer. And I don't know, I'm just a simple guy, and I just it's been very helpful to me over the years, so I'm not changing.
Now, you mentioned the beginnings of the Market Technicians Association, the early 1970s, and now the CMT Association's a thriving organization. I mean, global members all over the world, and it's been such a pleasure. And you encourage me and many others to get involved and to help move the organization forward. But what can you tell us about the early days, the community of technical analysts as you were getting started? What was that like? And tell us a little bit about it.
Well, it really started because Johnny Brooks, the young fellow, I was all of about 26, 7, and Johnny was maybe 24, 5 years old. And we were part of the New York Society of Analysts, security analysts, and we'd go to meetings and all, but we were treated not so nicely. You guys are playing with graphs and paper and moving lines around, and we were mocked. And what really got to Johnny and me is that we were kind of jealous. The analysts would get together as a group, like the chemical analysts would have a monthly meeting, all the analysts on Wall Street that followed autos. And so Johnny and I said, well, gee, why don't we get some technical analysts? And we went back to the old men. That's why I met Ken Ward and wonderful man by the name of Ralph Rotten, who was director of research at a firm called Harris Upham. The hemline indicated, that was Rotten.
Sure.
Year-end rallies, summer rallies, January effect, that was Rotten.
Got it.
And these guys were wonderful. And it was that desire to just share knowledge with everybody. You know, today is the 19th, as we record this, is the 19th anniversary of 9/11.
Yeah.
And 9/11 was a very important date for technicians. Our library was in Tower 1.
Yeah.
And when I was on the road in Europe when it happened, my tears just poured out of my eyes. We lost such valuable stuff that day. I had stuff handwritten by Charlie Dow in the library.
Yeah.
We had the original Gartley's and Schabacher books, and works from had all of Ralph Rottenham's stuff, Ken Ward stuff. He gave us his whole many, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 years of writings were in the library. So we try very hard to capture the history. And I am so proud of people like yourself who are past presidents and what you've done to move it on. I think the organization is in 89 countries around the world. And I say, why not? Technical analysis is supply and demand. That's a universal language.
Yeah,
Come
that's
on.
right. That's right. Well, it's fine. We lost obviously a lot on that day, and but I think every time people like you tell stories of guys like that, you're bringing their work back to life every time. So I'm glad to see that continues.
Yes.
You know, how would you describe if I asked you what the strengths of technical analysis are? How would you answer that? What do you think is the real benefit of technical analysis?
I think it takes the noise out of things. If you just stop and look at the graphics and whatever indicators you're following and things like that, and just kind of put the world on mute, and you're looking at people in action. You're looking at behavior of the market. Yes, it is behavior, and I love the motto the organization has is the gap between intrinsic value and market price. Navigate that gap. That's what you're doing. That's what you're doing, and I think it says it so very, very well. And again, I just love the fact that the market, at times, not always, at times, gives you a heads up. The economists will tell you it's a leading economic indicator. So you give you a little heads up what might be changing. So, except of course with coronavirus and all that, no one could foresee something like that. Those are events that can't be foretold. So.
Now, you talked about the history of technical analysis in your own experience, starting as a chartist, really manually updating charts to what you're able to do today. What's next? Where do you see technical analysis heading? How does it evolve, or does it stand the test of time? How do you think about what's next for technical analysis?
That's a great question. I usually get the question this way. It's people say, hey, Ralph, you've been doing this for so long. Well, has it changed at all? Is it different? And my answer is, no, it really hasn't changed at all. Oh, some of the indicators, I'm very, very impressed with them. And I love the graphics, and they move around and they're colorful and they tweak and all that. So that's exciting. But the basics of the subject hasn't changed. Trends are trend. Seriously. I mean, when people hear me say that, they kind of go, this guy is a little kooky, maybe he's too old. But no, the laws of supply and demand haven't changed. And that's exactly what you're looking at.
Well, it's telling that in 2020, I'm still quoting Charles Dow and his contemporaries from how long ago, right? And the lessons that he was coming up with, are still very relevant in terms of market behavior. So one final question, Ralph. We're recording this in mid-September. When we were walking around your barn, on the corner, I think it was around the 1920s, 1930s, markets take the escalator up, they take the elevator down. The last week or so, it started to feel like we're beginning to take the elevator down a little bit. What do you see going through the end of the year, looking at the overall markets? Where do you see things headed?
Well, I like everyone, I'm sure, on the way up, you kept saying the market's overbought, it's a little extended. Then you see Tesla going straight up, and these stocks, nosebleed territory. I'm not surprised to see a reaction on the downside. The speed and the depth of the, kind of scary at first. To answer your question, I don't think it's over. I think the market will bounce around here. What I'm looking at is that if we start to get a lot of failed rallies in this, that'll really concern me. I advise a family fund in Europe, and I told them to lighten up on technology. And now they're sending me emails. Should we lighten up on some of the other stuff we're doing? I'll take a look at it. So yeah, maybe we have to. I don't see that much damage done. Everything else. Yeah, to answer your question, I'd be a little very, very selective here. That's a cheap way of me getting at it. But yeah, I think especially now we're going into election time. This is going to be amazing. Yeah. And the virus is, I wish we could say it was over. Yeah, the vaccine might be around the corner. Yeah, so there are some good things, but the market's had one heck of a move off the March lows. And I'm assuming, I'm looking at the market, that when I was a young analyst, this Mr. Rotman was my mentor, and he said, whenever you're writing, Ralph, close your eyes and try to picture what the headlines in the Wall Street Journal are going to be 6 months from today. And that's exactly what the market's been doing. It's been looking out 6 months, looking into the early part of next year and saying, well, we're going to be better off than we were on March 23rd. And I try to explain that to my wife, my lovely wife, and everybody. I tell don't panic too much. I think we've seen the worst, but near term, to answer your question, it's going to be volatile for a while.
Ralph, this has been such a pleasure. It's great to see you. Thanks for giving us some time. Hope you and everyone around you stay safe, and we'll talk to you again soon. All right.
Thank you. Take care, big guy.
Boy, how could you not love Ralph? We are very grateful to have him participate in this event. Thank you, Professor. And just like Ralph, and just like John Murphy, our next guest, Martin Pring, is a true pioneer in the field of chart analysis. Martin's book, Technical Analysis Explained, is a bestseller and has probably helped more people get into the field of technical analysis than any other. Personally, I admire Martin's passion for education and his willingness to try new technologies as soon as they appear. Martin has done that in several generations. He did it with videotapes. He's done it with CD-ROMs. He's done it with Blu-ray discs. And now he's doing it again with ACP plugins. Recently, I sat down with Martin to learn more about his plans for using ACP in his work. Hi, Martin. You are one of the founding fathers, if you will, of technical analysis. I wanted to just get a little sense of your journey through the world of technical analysis has brought you to today and to the new tools that we want to talk about. How did you start and how did you get to where we're at?
Well, I got started because I worked for a broker and up in Canada, and their research was really bad. Their fundamental research was really bad. I picked up a copy of Edwards and McGee, the classic technical text, of course, and I was really fascinated by it. And from there, I never stopped learning about technical analysis. And I still learn a lot of stuff today. There's always a lot to be learned.
Yes, there is, absolutely. And I bet the tools have changed a lot over that period of time, haven't they?
Not that much. I think the method of delivering them certainly has, because we used to have to draw charts by hand, calculate the AD line by hand, and so forth. But now, of course, it's all done automatically. So that's the bit. I think that's the big change. Second big change is that because of the intraday trading and so forth, which we didn't have in the 70s and 80s, well, the 70s, people have got a much shorter time horizon now than they had before.
Yeah, so at this point, you are working hard with market cycles. You've been working on cycles now for many years. There's a couple of indicators you've developed to help analyze those cycles, and and now we're trying to bring new tools to help show the cycle interactions, right?
Correct.
So you started out, there was one of your more famous indicators was called the KST. What's the quick story behind the KST?
Well, that's an indicator that is designed, time, price at any one time is determined by the interaction of a number of different cycles. So if we're watching a specific cycle over a specific time frame, like a 14-day RSI or a 25-day RSI, that only covers one of those cycles. So I developed an indicator called the KST, which combines 4 different cycles into one indicator. Ideally, it would have 100 different time cycles, but you got to keep it simple in this business. And so that's basically how it got designed. So in other words, what it was trying to do is to follow the underlying trend. And then because we've got different time cycles, it turns a little bit earlier than, say, the stochastic sometimes. And that gives us a better read of what's going on. It's not a perfect indicator, but it does work most of the time. And it's called KST because KNOW, it's not a sure thing.
Okay. Yep, that's true. That's how. So the KST and other things that you've been doing all flow into the concept of the market flowing through different kinds of cycles. And so you've got long-term cycles and short-term cycles. And so you're working on a new plugin for StockChartsACP, aren't you? That kind of attempts to show how these long and short-term cycles interact, right?
That's correct. I think we've got a diagram of what I call the market cycle model, and it shows 3 trends: the long-term trend, the intermediate trend, and the short-term trend. You can see how they're all interrelated. And the idea is with the plugin, part of the idea with the plugin is to figure out where we are on that green line, the long-term trend, because that dominates everything. If you're in a bull market, then your short-term overbought conditions aren't going to generate much in the way of a decline. But when you get to oversold, there's usually a tremendous bounce that takes place, whereas that's quite the reverse in the bear market. So it's very important to try and have some understanding of where you are in the cycle and where the specific sector or industry group or stock is that you're monitoring is in that particular cycle.
And so the other thing about ACP another thing about ACP is how interactive it is. And so how are you bringing interactivity into this plugin?
Well, you'll be able to do 3 different trends: the long-term, the intermediate, and the short-term trend. There'll be a couple of different markets. You could do, obviously, the US stock market with its industry group breakdown. You can look at the world index and all its components for all the international markets. Do the same thing for commodities and currencies. So there's lots of different ways in which it can be applied, different time frames and different markets.
Sounds very, very exciting. I know it's not ready quite yet, but it's going to be ready soon. We're working really hard behind the scenes to bring it to everybody. One of the things about ACP plugins that this is kind of demonstrating, I think, is the ability for the plugin to capture a particular commentator's specific approach to doing analysis and to seeing the charts in the way that they see those charts. So in addition to this plugin, Martin, you're going to be also helping people understand how to use it, right? And demonstrating how it's used over time. You're going to be using it yourself to follow the markets, right?
I do now.
Yes.
On an annual basis. So this is going to speed up work for me, and I could retire.
Excellent. Can you just give a little background of what roles do cycles play in your analysis as a whole? How important are they, and what role do they play?
Well, if you're looking at cycles in the sense of the market bottoms every 3 months or every 6 months or that kind of thing, not a very big role. But if you look at it in terms of the business cycle, then it plays a big role because that helps determine that big green line that we saw in the diagram earlier. Helps you determine where you are in that line and shows you what the direction is. Because it's very interesting. Back in 1924, there's a guy called Joseph Kitchens, who was an economist, and he noted that there was a 41-month cycle between recessions between 1870 and 1924. Well, obviously that's out the window right now because we don't have recessions very often. In fact, we had the longest recovery on record that just ended earlier this year. But what we do get is a growth slowdown. If you count all the recessions and all the growth slowdowns since 1960, you find that they're separated by about 41 to 42 months. So the cycle's still alive and well. So that's one of the things that I really focus on a lot.
Fascinating. Yeah, I'm also myself very, very interested in the cycles. I agree. What advice would you have for someone just starting to learn technical analysis using stock charts?
Well, I think one of the things about one of the great benefits of stock charts is you've got the chart school, and you've got tremendous number of articles on just about everything that's on the package. And what I always recommend people do is, and you've got a number of different indicators in stock charts, far too many that any one person can follow. But somebody starting off probably should go through as many of those indicators as they can and find out the 3 or 4 which they feel most comfortable with, and start using those and start reading about those in the chart school. The other thing I'd recommend is, I'm pretty lazy, so I like shortcuts. And one of the things you can use, 2 things you can use in stock charts for shortcuts are the style sheets, or the chart styles, I should say, which enables you to save a specific template and then quickly apply it to the security that you're following. And the second thing is the chart list, which is kind of an electronic chart book, which you make originally, and then you bring it up again, and you just press one button and you've got 20 or 30 different charts coming up. And that's how I use stock charts to help save a lot of time.
Terrific. Have you had a chance to play with ACP and start to use the new tool as well as the old stuff?
Yeah, I have. And I'm very impressed with it.
Another slide here. So the one with the 4 quadrants, long-term momentum position. Did you want to talk a little about that?
Yeah, basically what I'm doing is kind of a poor man's plugin, if you will, showing the position of the commodities, bonds, and stocks. And then the next one shows the position of all these items approximately where they were at the 2003 bottom. You can see they're all down in the what we call the winter and the spring quadrant. And then the 2007 top is shown in the final slide. And there you can see they're all very overextended on the upside there on the right-hand part of the chart.
And so the idea here is that the plugin will also help you see these same kind of effects?
Yes, it will bring them up automatically.
That's nice. I'm very excited about seeing that happen kind of interactively and dynamically with real data moving forward. I think it's really going to help clarify some of these crazy market movements.
Yeah. Oh, it's definitely very helpful. when I used to do the monthly roundup with Greg, I always put this chart or this figure as the last thing we talked about, and from there on I just follow it. I just do it each month now on a manual basis. So the plugin's going to be really useful for me. I don't know if I can afford it, but I'd like to buy it.
Well, Martin, it's wonderful to talk with you as always. I'm looking forward to your plugin. I'm very excited about this new partnership that we've got going. And thank you very much for helping us tell everyone about ACP and plugins. Thanks, Martin.
Thanks, Chip.
Wow, I mean, what a stack of presentations. John Murphy, Ralph Acampora, Martin Pring. I mean, I really do have to pinch myself hearing from those 3 titans of the technicals back to back. I mean, what a day. You know, what's been so special for us communicating with partners like John and Ralph and Martin is that, like you heard there, I mean, they've seen so much through this industry, so much evolution and innovation, that when we bring them a new product like StockChartsACP, we really do get to feed off of the energy and just the true excitement that they show. So it's been so fun to bring this new platform to them and see it through their eyes, which is just very special. You know, next up we have Dave Landry. Dave is someone you might be familiar with from StockCharts TV. His show Trading Simplified has been a fixture of the channel for quite some time now. And as you're going to hear, Dave has an incredibly simple approach. He's not the type of guy that loves a million different indicators and wants to clutter his charts up. He loves to use indicators strategically to keep things really simple. So his new plugin for ACP, Trading Simplified, really is all about that. It's in the name, keeping your trading simple. So I'm excited to bring you this interview with Dave Landry talking about his ACP plugin, Trading Simplified. Let's take it away. All right. Well, I'm here with Dave Landry. Very excited to have you with us, Dave. Thanks for sitting down. Thanks for joining us for this launch event. Great to have you.
Glad to be here, Grayson.
Yeah, we are so excited about your plugin. I've been using your plugin actually a bit in my own charting, and I'm loving it. I love the indicators that are included in there.
Thank you.
So, I'm just thrilled to chat with you. Before we really dive into the plugin, though, I thought it'd be good. A lot of our viewers already know you, already watch your stuff on StockCharts TV, and have been following your work. But for those who don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself and your background, and kind of how you got to where you are.
Okay. I've been trading for 20-something years. I kind of lost count. After you get past 20, you hate to keep counting. I spent a little time in the hedge fund business.
Gotcha.
And I kind of by accident, I sort of ended up a little bit in retail here. Years and years ago, as part of one of the first websites ever. It was tradingmarkets.com. And I was part of that website, and that was by complete accident. I'd written an article, and it got picked up by Stocks and Commodities, and it kind of all started from there.
Yeah.
I'm a trend guy. I believe in trend trading, and as the name of my show, and I've trademarked it, Trading Simplified. I believe we try to keep it as simple as possible. The market's either going up, it's going down, or sideways. If it's going up or down, you want to be long, ideally, or short, respectively. Yeah. And basically, I just believe in keeping it simple. And, I've tried everything. We all go through a grail hunt where we try 1,000 different indicators. And the real enlightenment comes when you peel all those indicators off and just get back to the charts. And that's why, I don't know if you can see it behind me, but I have the little arrows along with my trademark, Trading Simplified, up, down, and sideways.
I've always loved that. I've always loved your approach just because, like you're saying, you are simplifying your analysis. You see these people that have a zillion indicators on their charts, and you're looking at everything from such a crazy angle. But your work is just all about seeing the the real picture of what's happening. I love that approach. So
thank you.
And your plugin, has some fantastic indicators. I'd love to have you just kind of tell us about your plugin generally. What's included in it, and maybe kind of how you came up with it, where the ideas came from, those kinds of things.
Sure. So with the plugin, first of all, I'm not a huge fan of indicators per se. I think an indicator is more of an illustrator. It shows you what's already in the charts. For instance, I have bow ties, which is a 10 simple, 20 exponential, 30 exponential moving average. And there's some patterns that are based on the crossing of those averages. And also the proper order, which is actually also in one of the plugins. And you could just look at the chart, but sometimes you might not see these things that are actually in the chart, and that visual representation can really help. So I like to look at a lot of charts every day. I probably look at 2,000 charts every day with no indicators whatsoever. Every day, that's part of my analysis. But then with the ACP platform, I'm able to go in and see some things visually that I might have missed, especially in markets that I'm very interested in. And a lot of things were kind of discovered by accident, like the Landry light was discovered with a programmer years ago. And I said, hey, could you show me a way to represent this graphically when the low is greater than the moving average? And the Landry light comes from an article I wrote in 1995, dating myself here, for Stocks and Commodities. It goes way back there, but way back then. But what's kind of cool about this is it gives you that visual representation where you can see, okay, if it's nice and green, you have a trend. If it's nice and red, you have a downtrend. And if it's red and green or nothing, then you have nothing in between. And the same thing goes for the bow tie proper order indicators. It's either red, green, or yellow, kind of like a little bit like a traffic light if you think about it. So red means down, yellow means kind of in between or caution, and then green, of course, means up. Yeah.
I love the visuals of your indicator. I've been really having some fun playing around with the Landry light indicator specifically.
Me too. I've been having a lot of fun with it.
It's fantastic. And, I should mention, you've got 6 indicators in your plugin. It's a free plugin. I'm excited about it just because they're fantastic indicators and they're free. It's like there's no reason for someone to not go get your plugin. So for all of our people that are watching, definitely go get Dave's plugin. It's totally free. It's such a fantastic addition to ACP. I'm curious to hear, Dave, sort of what you think we're speaking about, adding this plugin to your ACP experience.
What do you think someone should expect to get out of it? What are the benefits of your plugin? What is it going to bring to their experience?
Okay. One thing, just kind of by accident, is recently, because all these markets have been trending so well, I've been explaining that, okay, look, everything works better with trend. My stuff doesn't always work this great, but I'm a trend follower, so it works well when the trends are, are trending. Right. And one thing that we kind of backed into, and that's the fun part about teaching, you learn a lot in the process.
Yeah.
But like with the Landry light, with a 30-day EMA, when you have like a nice trend, at least 10 bars or more of that Landry light, and then you have that pullback to the EMA, it's very easy for someone new to trading to recognize. Yeah. And I've really been enjoying it myself, and I've been using it in a variety of markets, and I'm actually expanding that out a little bit into things like Forex, but I started using it in Bitcoin recently, and I've been watching a lot of these go-go stocks have pulled back nicely to the 30 EMA. So that's kind of like a hidden benefit that I never really thought about, those what I call the Landry light pullbacks. And it's something easy for somebody to see graphically. Now the bow tie ribbons, or not the ribbons, but the proper order is another indicator that'll help to keep you on the right side of the market. So I think that's a really good indicator. You could use it on a weekly, you could use it on daily, you could use it on an intraday chart. It works on all time frames, and I think that's kind of cool. We also added what I call the buy line, and that could be used for market timing, and that's 10% below the 50-week high, and you can actually adjust those parameters for other markets if you wanted. But the combination of that and just a simple moving average, along with the percent away from close, which is also in the plugin. And I realize it's not enough time to teach the whole system now, but I've done Trading Simplified shows just on that. So you now have that indicator, and it's I call it the TFM system, 10% system. TFM, my nickname is Trend Following Moron, which is a story in and of itself. I was offended when I was first called that, but then I realized that, hey, maybe I am just a trend following moron. So
lean into it.
Yeah, that's lean into it. Amen. But yeah, it's really simple market timing system. Yeah. And it has a little lag in it, but that's okay. It's like it would have got you out like in February or March would have been fantastic, but it would have been a little bit late getting you back into the market. That's the downside of a V-shaped type of market and all. And there are other things that get you in, such as the proper order, and that's like on a weekly basis, that system. So a lot of cool things in there. Volatility is something that was not part of StockCharts platform. And I've got that. It's called Landry volatility, but it's just historical volatility. So it doesn't, I didn't invent that or anything, but that's kind of cool to show you when the market might be getting to an extreme as far as like a bottom. And then it's really good to plot on individual issues to make sure the issue is volatile enough for trading, but maybe not crazy volatile. So a lot of good stuff. And if I say so myself, and I've been having a lot of fun with it. I know you probably want to party with me, but but I've really been enjoying it. And it's visual, being able to see some of these things visual and easy to recognize. And just one more point. It's like with the bow ties. When I came up with the bow ties, I never dreamed they would be as popular as they are. But the reason they're popular is because people can wrap their head around it, because you could actually see the moving averages come together and form a little pattern. It's like, okay, well, I can recognize that pattern, then maybe I could possibly trade off of that pattern.
Yeah. I think that one of the best benefits of the plugin and combining it with ACP is actually something you mentioned. I'm so glad that you brought up your show, Trading Simplified, on StockCharts TV. The way that those interact, you've got this plugin, you've got this amazing charting platform and the tools there. But then the fact that people actually get to see you on a weekly basis, hear your take on the market, see you use those indicators from that plugin, I think that's a tremendous benefit. Your appearances on StockCharts TV combined with the plugin really kind of bring those together, and I think that's a powerful package.
Yeah, and it's been a lot of fun, and since everything's been working out, following through, it's been really cool. I borrowed Dave Keller's concept of the mystery chart. And I'll put out a mystery chart, and a lot of times I'm using the ACP simple little pullback to the moving average. And then not all the time, we've had a few stinkers here and there, but in a lot of cases, we've had a lot of things take off after being a mystery chart. And that's what's kind of fun. It's like, okay, I'm going to show you how this works. Here's a setup here, and let's just see what happens. And sometimes they fail miserably. Believe me, I drop F-bombs. I don't know if I could reach it, but on my other desk over here, one of my clients actually sent me, it's a little bomb with F on it, so I still have a pulse, and I still get very emotional.
No, yours is definitely one of the more fun shows that we got on SCTV. One of the more
thank you.
ones. But I'm curious, Dave, to get your sort of what are your first impressions of ACP? I mean, you've been obviously developing this plugin for a while, and so you've had a great opportunity to play around with the platform. But when you first saw it, and as you've been using it more, what are your impressions of it?
I'm blown away that you could do so much in a browser.
Yeah.
And and that I could go anywhere in the world literally with this and have the same exact thing and be able to log in, and it's all there. And I do use a lot of tools. I've probably got about 6 or 7 different tools. Obviously, StockChart Classic is one of them. But this is just something that's really neat, and I've been playing with it more and more and trying to, as you know, incorporate more of what I do into it. So I have it right here in ACP. But yeah, it's a really powerful tool. I'm looking forward to learning a lot more about it and some of the features and getting things working a little bit better for my taste and all. But just little things like I just figured out how to do the watch list and all, and that's been kind of cool with all these markets trending. And it's like there's probably a presentation in the future. I've done this before where I talk about how everything works better with trend, and we'll pull up some Forex, we'll pull up Bitcoin, we'll pull up stocks, we'll pull up indices. And, right now, all these things are working great. I can't guarantee it won't stop this afternoon, but it's been really fun. And the plugin has really helped me do that. And ACP is really a really neat tool. One thing that I did with it, I did some intraday research and just being able to scroll backwards in time. It's like I accidentally find all these different things, but I was like, okay, I got some ideas. So I scroll way back in time, and then I walk forward, test. Little things like that that probably nobody even thought about doing that you can easily do with the platform. So really been enjoying it.
That interactivity, I think, is a huge feature. Just there's so many different ways that can really enhance your view of the markets, and specifically combined with the fantastic indicators that are in your plugin, being able to sort of see those interactively is just great. Dave, we are so grateful to be partnered with you. We're so excited to be partnering with you on this plugin, and to bring that to the show as well, to sort of all, tie it all in. It's just great. I'd love to hear just kind of your thoughts on how it's been working with us and building this plugin and everything. Do you have anything to say there?
Yeah, it's been fantastic, and it's almost a little bit of a pinch me moment that I'm able to be a part of all these other traders and all. But in the client, I tell you one thing that I never realized is the caliber of client that StockCharts has. It's like, I don't want to talk bad about anyone, but it's like, sometimes some people will come to you from other places, and they're just they're skeptical of everything, and they expect everything to be perfect and all. And it's like the StockChart client is just, they're a little bit smarter, and they understand how markets work, and they're not so much get rich quick. And it's just been a wonderful thing being able to interact with those people. And that's one thing. And again, it's kind of a pinch me moment being able to connect with all these other traders that are part of StockCharts. It's been fantastic.
It's a great way of putting it. I think a lot of that is it really comes down to the education that you guys put out on your StockCharts TV shows. I mean, you're a perfect example of that. Someone who's really educating people on how to use the tools, how to use the features, and then how to see the markets kind of through, your eyes. It's just fantastic. Dave, I want to thank you so much for building this plugin with us, for getting it out there, for making it free. I think that's actually a really, really cool thing that you decided to do. That's just very, very special. And I want to thank you for all the work that you're doing on your show as well, and for joining us today. Just really, really great to have you. If people want to keep following your work and keep in touch and all that, where can they find you? I know you got your website, you got your show. Where can people?
2 links. One, davelandry.com/StockCharts.
Great.
And from that link, I'll give you all the presentations that I've done, links to the presentations for StockCharts.
Awesome.
My 3 books, the whole 9 yards. Get to know me from there. Yeah. And if you need to reach me directly, davelandry.com/contact. And
gotcha.
That's it.
That's great. Well, definitely everyone look for Dave's show on StockCharts TV, and especially go get his plugin. It is a free extension to ACP, just such a great addition, and there's no reason not to get it. So Dave, I want to thank you so much for being here. Really looking forward to continuing to use your plugin in my own work. I mean, I'm really enjoying it so far. So it's been
well, thank you, Grayson. I appreciate it.
Such a great conversation with Dave Landry. I love Dave, and when I first met him, which was years ago at a conference, I remember him passing me his business card, and he flips it over, and it just has an arrow going up and says uptrend, arrow going down, downtrend, arrow to the side, sideways trend. That's on his business card that he's throwing around at a conference, and that personality really comes out in a lot of his work, his show on StockCharts TV, also now in his new ACP plugin. Our next conversation is with Mish and Keith Schneider, coming to us from Santa Fe, New Mexico. Mish Schneider is a name and a face hopefully familiar to you. She hosts Mish's Market Minute on StockCharts TV, also writes some great content for our articles page. When I think of Mish, I think of when I first met her, and we talked about her philosophy, which is all about what she calls the modern family. These are a series of ETFs, a series of industry and sector style indexes she tracks as a way of getting a read on the overall market. It's just a beautiful way of thinking at a high level about market dynamics. Her plugin that Mish and Keith and also Jeff Bish, one of their coworkers, put together is really built on the strengths or the process of relative strength investing, which is focusing on what's working and what isn't working. And it's an area that I feel like a lot of individual investors especially could stand some additional focus on. So here is Mish and Keith Schneider presenting their new ACP plugin. All right, so here we're sitting down with Michelle Schneider, Keith Schneider, and Jeff Bish, where we're covering 3 of the 4 corners of the United States, I think, with us up in Redmond, Washington, you guys down in Santa Fe, New Mexico, Jeff in New Jersey. Thanks so much for joining me today. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
So if you guys could, Mish and Keith, tell us about yourselves and MarketGauge. For those that aren't familiar with you and your work, I'm sure many have seen Mish's Market Minute and have followed your writings on StockCharts, but tell us a little bit about you guys and how you started.
Well, actually, Keith and I knew each other from down on the Commodities Exchange in the World Trade Center back in the day. We were both independent traders, and we met and sort of circled around each other through different social means, but we didn't really hook up officially until never mind. A long time ago. And just the
Wait, can I say that we celebrated our 30th wedding anniversary?
Yes, you could say that.
This year?
Because it actually ties into the next part, which is right before we got married, we were looking to hire somebody because we hadn't actually started DataView and MarketGauge officially yet. And then, or did we? No, we hadn't. And then we interviewed Jeff, who was just getting out of college. So we've also have our 30th anniversary with Jeff. So you could say the 3 of us are really family at this point.
Congrats on your 30 years together, all 3 of you then.
Exactly.
Different type of marriages, one business, one not.
So when you started MarketGauge, obviously together, how would you describe MarketGauge and what its purpose is as a product, as a company?
Well, it's a company that's dedicated to trading and investing education. And then we branched out and started building different indicators and trading models. And it's all based on our experience from the floor. So we go back when floor trading was really the high frequency trading of its day. So it was quite an experience, and we were around during historic times. So our risk management is really critical. When you're trading futures as a floor member, you get insane leverage, like 100 to 1. So literally a 1% move can wipe you out. You better know your risk. And so over time, we've also developed a number of trading indicators, which remarkably has appeared now on StockCharts.
Now we get to that. Obviously, I'm super excited that we've been able to partner with you guys. And Mish, it was so great to
meet you and start to get to know you guys in your work. And I've read your book, which I very much enjoy. We talk about your philosophy of the different components of the market. Tell me, why are you guys partnering with StockCharts? What is that doing for you?
Well, it's been actually fantastic. I mean, it really started with you and me, Dave, and Gretchen in Vegas at the Traders Expo.
That's right.
When I went up to your room, not knowing what to expect, and wound up with, meeting you and Gretchen, which has been awesome. So that introduced us to StockCharts, and everybody that works for the company that we've met, pretty much everyone at this point, is just great people. And we don't partner too readily with other companies. We've done rev share and affiliate relationships, but an actual partnership is something we've been skeptical about doing. But yet, once we got to see StockCharts platform, how great it is, and then met Chip, and it started to get to know you and watch some of your videos and some of the other videos of your contributors, we really knew that this was going to be a great fit. And of course, I've now been doing the StockCharts TV segment on Thursdays, and then the once a month, your Daily 5. And it's done not only really well in terms of the number of people that view it, but I've had unbelievable amount of love in the commentary, which has been great. It's all about that, all about the love.
That's right. Well, I think you're creating a lot of fans for your work, which is very well deserved. Now, if we could, let's talk a little bit about your plugin, because I think I'm super excited that StockCharts users are going to start to be able to experience directly some of the great work that you guys have done. Tell us a little bit about your plugin. You have 2 indicators that you're providing into ACP. What's included in that plugin, and tell us a little bit how you created it.
Well, I'll introduce what the names are, and then I'll let Keith or Jeff take over from there. But we have 2 plugins right now. We have Price Performance, which is based on our triple play indicator, and we have Real Motion, which is a momentum indicator. And now I'll let one of the guys explain from there.
Okay, so in terms of looking and doing classic technical analysis, our philosophy is that you really need to incorporate different ways of looking at it. I mean, probably one of the issues that a lot of people have is they're looking at the same information, maybe slightly different, but they're not getting additional perspective. So the idea was always to have a comprehensive view of the price action. And that involves looking at the underlying chart, and the triple play indicator looks at momentum, and it measures it in a unique way. And momentum often precedes price, or can tell you when it's really extended. And when you get an extended momentum read along with the confirmation of price, it's really a great lead indicator. And then on top of that, we also like to compare a particular stock or index or commodity against a benchmark. So you understand perspective, and those 3 things are really what is the concept behind what we've done. And the ACP platform has allowed us to program our indicators in the platform to get this comprehensive read of the markets.
That's fantastic. Now, you mentioned, getting it in the ACP platform. I know that you guys have now started to use ACP, able to use it with your plugin. What are your impressions of ACP and how the plugin fits in, having started to use it yourselves?
Well, I did my first segment really using it with it being live on last Thursday, and I thought it was great. In fact, I've been more and more switching from showing any charts from our old platform to the StockCharts and the ACP plugins and all the charts on StockCharts because of its ease of use and its great visibility. But it's fantastic. But I wanted to just say, in terms of what Keith is mentioning, when I did the thing last Thursday, I pointed out that NASDAQ, which had just the day before made a new all-time high, had shown a real divergence with the real motion indicator, and that the momentum was nowhere near the price high. and it was showing that it was getting ripe for some type of correction. And so that's really the value of this, not only to see when something is extended, as Keith said, and the momentum might be waning, but even the reverse, when something is starting to outperform in price, but the momentum hasn't caught up, which I've also pointed out a few weeks on stock charts. Namely, come to mind would be DBA, the agricultural ETF, which had shown a divergence over the 50-day moving average in the real motion, but didn't actually confirm on the price in terms of getting into a recuperation phase over the 50 until a few days later. So it's fantastic. It's just another great layer. And as Keith mentioned, momentum can either precede or what's the opposite of precede? Whatever the opposite of precede.
Come after it, right?
Yeah, and then the price performance is also great, because if something has been lagging, like for example, let's go back to DBA, the SPY, which is what we use as our benchmark, then we can see that if it starts to outperform, even though the price is still very, very low, and you get the confirmation of the real motion showing you that the divergence is saying that all you need now is the confirmation of a phase change, it's almost a no-brainer.
I'm glad you mentioned just that the relative strength component, looking at it relative to the S&P, because I found working with investors that is a part of the toolkit. I know in the institutional community, that's pretty much all we use, because it was so important to what we did. And I found, especially individual investors, advisors could do themselves so much more by focusing on relative strength. And I'm so glad that your plugin has a piece to that, which speaks to that. Who should be using your plugin, or who would be a prime candidate for using these tools?
Well, I think you can really do it for whatever time frame you're trading. I, of course, try to present it as a swing trade. And I think it's great as a swing trade, because if you have everything lined up, again, going back to the DBA example, or if you wanted to buy volatility, which we did the day that I showed, the next day that the Qs had now had a diversification against the momentum. You know, you had a good swing trade if you wanted to continue to be short the market or buy the agriculturals. Now, that also could be used for a shorter term momentum trader who wants to maybe catch something for a couple of days, and even a day trade, because even if you bought volatility, let's say last Friday, it exploded, reached profit targets, and you had yourself a nice little day trade. So I'd say it's really for everyone. And that's what I'm hoping will happen, that people in stock charts will realize its value for no matter what kind of trader they want to be.
I would like to add that the stock charts platform and the indicators are meant to be used in different time frames. So if you're shorter term, it's great. I mean, you can use it, like Mish said, for day trading. And if you want a longer term perspective, you know, go to the weekly and the monthly charts as well. And the principles work. In fact, the best trading methodologies are scalable to multiple different time frames. So those are the most robust, not the ones that you have to tune to a particular time frame and it only works in that. The most robust ones are more universal, using, you know, the correct trading principles and risk management, of course.
That's great. Listen, I hope everyone takes some time to check out your ACP plugin, because I think it's beautifully designed. It speaks really well to your work, and it's been such a pleasure to work with you guys, to partner with you. I look forward to much more, many more good things to come in the future.
Well, we really look forward to working with you and showcasing our, you know, many years of work on a great platform.
Well, next up, I am thrilled to bring you my conversation with Arthur Hill. I sat down with Arthur just a few days ago to discuss his plugin, to talk about his history with stock charts as well. You know, many of you, I'm sure, are familiar with Arthur's work. He's been around for so long and has really been at the start of everything that we've done, whether it's written commentary, video commentary, now plugins. And what's so fascinating to me about Arthur is that this is a guy who has so many ideas. He is so creative and so intellectual when it comes to markets, but he tries to always simplify things. He really wants to simplify technical analysis, not make things too complex. And Arthur is someone that has had so many ideas for so many years, and he's really kind of been sitting on these things. And now with ACP being able to bring those ideas, bring that inventiveness to the plugin, to you as a chartist in your own work through ACP. That is what's so exciting about Arthur's plugin. So here's my conversation with Arthur Hill talking about his new Trend Investor Pro plugin. All right. Well, I am here with the great Arthur Hill. Arthur, thank you so much for taking some time to sit down with us and talk about your plugin and ACP. We're so excited to have you as part of this new product, and it's great to sit down with you. I'm excited that we have you in the launch event here as well. So thank you first and foremost. I'm sure that there's not too many people out there who don't know you and don't know your story and your background and all the things that you've been up to for a great long career. But for anyone who doesn't know you, I mean, I'd love to just start by, a brief background of who you are, what you're doing with Trend Investor Pro, especially exciting stuff over there. So if you want to just give us a quick overview of who you are and what you've been up to, that'd be great.
Sure. Thanks for the great introduction, Grayson. Appreciate it. I am Arthur Hill, a CMT, Chartered Market Technician, and I also have a website, trendinvestorpro.com. And there I track mostly ETFs, and I have a systematic approach using breadth models that have been back tested for broad market timing. And I think the big standout from trendinvestorpro.com is I just don't have a list of ETFs ranked by index, sector, industry group. I rank them according to their different chart patterns and their chart strength every week and put them in a chart book that makes it easy to follow which ETFs are in which situations, which are breaking out. Because usually ETFs and stocks for that matter, you can group them by patterns and trends more than by sectors and industry groups.
Yeah.
And a lot of times those sectors and industry groups, or the industry groups will fit together, like all the technology related will be together. But yes, that's trendinvestorpro.com.
That's fantastic. I've always loved your work because you hit on it right there with a couple of the things you said. I've always thought that your work is incredibly easy to follow, but incredibly powerful at the same time and systematic. I mean, when I think of you, I think of someone who's incredibly systematic in what they do. I'm just thrilled that we're working with you. Now, Trend Investor Pro has really kind of been the driving force for this plugin. So I'd love to dive in and have you just kind of tell us generally about your plugin, the Trend Investor Pro plugin on StockChartsACP. Maybe what's included. There's some fantastic indicators in there. So maybe a quick overview of the indicators that are in there, and just how you created it, how we got here. Love to hear the story of the new plugin.
Sure, I'm really excited about this plugin because over the years you think of different indicator combinations, or you see an indicator maybe that needs a tweak. And with this ACP plugin, I've given the chance to actually create some indicators that I do think add value to the analysis process. And that they're grouped in three different areas. First, you have trend following indicators. Okay. Then you have mean reversion indicators. And then you have volatility related indicators. And so it's not a complete suite, it's just 10 indicators, but these indicators can tell you different things, if the market is trending or not, which stocks are trending, which stocks turned up first, which stocks are pulling back for potential mean reversion opportunity, and also the all-important volatility question. We're not just using the VIX and the VXN, I'm using a twist on the high-low range and the average true range to measure volatility.
That's fantastic. No, it's exciting too, because when we pair that plugin and the indicators that are included in it with your show on StockCharts TV, and the fact that you're putting out content and explaining how to use these things, actively showing people how you're using them to watch the market. I mean, that's where I think these plugins are so powerful. And your show is just one of my favorites that we do on StockCharts TV. So, I think that personally, one of the big benefits that someone gets out of your plugin is this opportunity to actually watch you use it with the show on StockCharts TV. I'd love to hear your thoughts too on what you think a chartist can sort of really get out of adding this plugin to their ACP experience. What are the benefits that they can look forward to in adding the Trend Investor Pro plugin?
Well, one of the benefits really became apparent in March when we had, there was a couple of events happening. First of all, you had this big uptick in volatility as we had that big decline.
Right.
And then as we came out of the March low, you saw volatility peak and come down. And that decline in volatility was captured in a couple of the volatility indicators. And now these volatility indicators are at very low levels below their what I call bearish thresholds, because I think low volatility is quite positive. And then when we were coming out of that March low, you could see which stocks were making their first trend reversal signals in April. Amazon and Netflix and some of these other ones were making trend reversal signals using the trend composite, which goes from -5 to +5. And so they were turning +1, +3 as they were starting to get these trend following signals that are used in the trend composite.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting that volatility is such an important part of your plugin, because I think for a lot of people, you know, they know that they need to be considering volatility, but I think a lot of people just think of it at the highest level. They say, I watched the VIX and I know where it's trading, so I'm done. I don't have to think about volatility anymore. I have the whole picture. But you're kind of going deeper and bringing it into individual securities, which is so cool with the plugin. I love that you're doing that. So, you know, I'd love to hear, Arthur, two things. Your first impressions of ACP, what you thought when we brought this out. I mean, you've been using StockCharts for a long, long time. I'd love to hear kind of what your overall impressions of ACP have been so far. And also, you know, how ACP and the plugin specifically are enhancing your use of StockCharts overall more generally. What are your thoughts there?
Well, yeah, with the ACP, I think it's really easy to create a chart list and then just scroll through that chart list very easily, just, you know, ticker by ticker. And then I can see those indicators. Of course, I'm kind of biased on these trend composite indicators and such, but I could easily see going through the NASDAQ 100 stocks, which ones were turning up the fastest. And with the ACP, you can easily, you know, scroll in, scroll out, if you want to see a bigger time frame, just by using the mouse wheel and scroll in. And then another thing is RSI. You know, the RSI is down from 0 to 100, but with the ACP, I like to go over to the right-hand side and expand that scale so I can get more detail, granularity in RSI, and have it say range from 40 to 70, which is where most of the action is.
Yeah. I love that you're bringing up those interactive features. I mean, those are absolutely at the top of my list of what makes ACP special, and what makes it, you know, really kind of separates it from other things that we've had on the site, and just makes it a great tool. So that's great to hear. You know, I love to hear your use of RSI specifically. You know, like you're saying, being able to adjust sort of dynamically the y-axis is a fantastic feature. That's great to hear.
Absolutely.
You know, Arthur, you've been working with us for so long. We've been working with you for so long. You've seen StockCharts evolve in so many different ways. And you've been really at the start of everything that we've ever done. I mean, articles, you know, we started wanting to do more commentary. You're at the start of that. We started wanting to do video content with StockCharts TV. You're at the start of that. You know, now ACP plugins, you're one of the first to have an ACP plugin. You know, I'd love to hear your thoughts on just kind of what the relationship with StockCharts means to you, and how this is kind of evolving it, and what you're excited about with this sort of new step in, you know, partnering with us, working with us. Love to hear more about that.
Well, I was very honored to be asked to be included in this first round of plugins because, you know, I'm up there with folks like Larry Williams, who also has a plugin as well.
Yeah.
So being able to be part of that launch, you know, as ACP grows is very flattering to be invited into that. And also to see, you know, your indicators and then other people's indicators that are going to be coming up over the next few weeks and months. See some new ideas coming out there.
Yeah. No, it is fantastic. It's been so cool to work with, you know, people like yourself that say, or Larry's another great example, who say, you know, I've had these ideas for years and I've never really had a platform that allows me to get my ideas out there and put them somewhere and build an indicator and work with someone to have it into a platform.
So it's been fantastic to work with you guys and to sort of bring some of those ideas that have been off on a scrap of paper somewhere on the side of the desk for years, and now they're really coming to life. That's been a great aspect, I think.
And Dave Landry's, he has a free plugin, so I'd recommend people go and check out that one. Dave is a great analyst, trader, and author. Yeah,
no, his stuff is very, very cool too. And just like you, a lot of sort of simple technical analysis. It doesn't have to be the most complicated chart that you're ever going to see. It's kind of back to basics in a lot of ways, which I always love. I think that's the best way to chart. Keep it simple. So Arthur, this has been fantastic to hear from you, to get some perspective on your plugin. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for just having this plugin. I'm excited to see it continue to evolve over time, and along with ACP and everything that we're doing. If people want to follow you, I know you've got the show, you've got trendinvestorpro.com, but what's the best way to sort of get more Arthur? What do you think?
Well, there are a few ways. I do contribute articles weekly to StockCharts on the Chart Watchers newsletter every other week, and then on Arch Charts. And also Next Level Charting comes out every Thursday at noon, so you can follow me there. And then on Twitter at Arthur Hill. And also there's some free stuff on trendinvestorpro.com, so please come by and say hi.
That's fantastic. Well, Arthur, thank you again for joining us today. It's been great to sit down with you. Looking forward to keeping the conversations going around your plugin. There's so many exciting things happening, and I'm sure this is not the last that we're going to hear from you with more exciting things built into ACP. I'm sure there's more on the way.
I tell you what, I have enjoyed, as a subscriber for many years to StockCharts.com, reading and learning from Arthur Hill's expertise. I'm excited that more and more of our members will get to learn more about behind the scenes Arthur's techniques through his ACP plugin. Our next conversation is with Larry Williams. Larry is a name and a face probably familiar to all of you. He has done so much to educate traders and individual investors for decades, going back for years. And he literally has written the book in many ways on some of the techniques that we all take for granted now. But he's not just an educator, he's also a successful trader. As a matter of fact, his website is called ireallytrade.com. And there's a reason why that's the case. He literally follows what he's saying. He trades real time, he learns from it, he shares the wisdom of what he's experienced. My conversation with Larry was not just about charting, not just about technical analysis, but sort of all the different parts of his process, talking about seasonality, cycles, fundamental data, sentiment, and price, and how they're all related. And his ACP plugin manages to touch on all of those things together. So here's my conversation recently with Larry Williams. So Larry Williams, it's such a pleasure to sit down with you today. We're speaking virtually. I know you're in Montana. We're here in the Seattle area, but it's really good to chat with you on screen here.
Well, I've been looking forward to this. I mean, what you guys have done in the past on StockCharts.com and what you're doing now is just blowing people away. This is such an easy approach for the average guy, any place in the world, to access market data. It's amazing. I'm just floored by what you guys and gals have done. It's amazing.
Larry, I made sure we hit record before you made that comment. So thanks so much. Thanks so much for the kind words. I think it's safe to assume that most people, if not everyone, is familiar with you and your work. But I'd love for you to just speak to how do you hope people think of you and how you're trying to empower investors? How would you describe your approach to trading, and how should that resonate with people?
Dave, I think my approach is a bit eclectic in that I try to combine fundamentals with technicals. I think a lot of technical analysis, mumbo jumbo, a lot of fundamental analysis won't get you any place. It's just overwhelming. I've tried to combine the two. My basic idea has been this. You find a setup condition, that's fundamental. Fundamentals cause markets to move. Then the technicals are the timings, the swings along the way. That's where technical analysis is really good, to get in, to get out, but it's not a setup tool. So I break my tools down into setup tools and timing tools. And I think that makes a complete package versus just more indicators to put on your chart. We have enough indicators. What we have to have is indicators that have a specific purpose. Each indicator serves a specific function to tell us about the markets. That's what my indicators are. And as you know, I've been doing this for almost 60 years now. So these are my products. They're the way I look at the market. They're not just a rehash of other people's indicators. They're things I've found in my few years of trading.
Yeah. And it's fantastic. And I love how you're speaking to that relationship between the fundamental and the technical. And I know from working with institutional investors, that is absolutely how they would approach things. I think it would behoove many individual investors to sort of embrace that as well. Can you tell us, you spoke about your indicators, and we're super excited that our ACP platform is beginning with your plugin, with your starter pack. What can you tell us about some of the indicators in that package? What could people expect looking at your plugin here?
Well, the fundamental indicators I get so excited about, they're a little boring to some people, but what I think is really neat about them, we have a valuation model. So we now can absolutely tell if a stock or a commodity, which is where I developed the work originally, is overvalued or undervalued, not overbought, oversold. That's technical analysis, but there's a real value here. Now, this is not a timing tool. It just says Amazon's overvalued now. So we better be careful of it. Or if I want to buy Costco or some stock, I want to buy whatever it is, Facebook, I want to wait until it's that undervalued zone because I have a much better probability of moving higher. So that's one type of fundamental indicator that we use. I also look at insider buying in the commodity markets. We know how these people buy. We can apply their formula to futures, so we can now say, informed money is buying your stock. And if they're buying your stock, you probably want to buy. If they're not buying, you better be a lot more careful. And then you can then go to the technical indicators for your timing, for your entry into the market.
So if someone uses your plugin, right, with this great combination of value and then looking at timing and sort of combining the fundamental and the technical, what should a StockCharts user that adds your plugin expect to get out of it? What do you hope is the benefit that they would derive from using those set of tools?
Well, they're going to be able to screen to know if they're interested in a stock. Let's say the stock is IBM. They're going to know, is this the right time to buy it based on the seasonal pattern? Because we have my true seasonal pattern there. So is this when IBM usually rallies? They're going to know that. They're going to know, are insiders buying the stock right now or not? Because if you want to be a buyer of it, you'd like to be a buyer when the insiders are buying it. And then we can look at, is it overvalued or is it undervalued? Once we resolve the fundamental issues, this market's ready to move, or if you're long, maybe it's ready to move down, then we can go to the technical part and say, okay, what do we do? Where's my trailing stop? We have my will stop, so we can see exactly where your trailing stop should be, because if we go below that line, it's a trend change. You better be careful. The market is now in a downtrend. If you're undervalued and the market's down and gets above the trend line, well, now you have a trend buy signal in an undervalued market. That's when you want to get long your stock. So it's kind of a complete package. It's going to tell us, set up these markets, and then we're going to find our timing entries into the individual stocks or a market average. You can do it for either one of them.
That's fantastic. I think there's so much users can get out of your work and out of your plugin. So it's been a real pleasure, I think, for us at StockCharts to be working with people like you as we've been developing ACP over quite a number of years and getting to this point where we're now unveiling it to everyone. Can you tell us about your own experience using ACP? What are your impressions of the platform and how your indicators are a part of that?
Well, one thing I really like about what you guys are doing, I'm not the only guy in your stable. You've got some really great talent there. And I think that's good, because when it terms of a trader or an investor, I think you need to find somebody who thinks like you do. Other people might not think like me. If they do right, good, then Larry's your guy. But if you go, I don't understand, William, find somebody that you do understand, then that's the teacher you can go to. So to have this sampling of other proven traders, I think is really wonderful. It's a great advantage to your viewers. Say, yeah, that's my guy. I like this guy. I like how he thinks. I understand that. So I think that's a huge advantage that you offer. It's like a smorgasbord of some of the greatest market talents around. So I might not be the guy for people, but one of these other people will be. So I think that's a real advantage that you bring to the table for your viewers. And I'm really proud to see that this is you're not selecting just one guy. It's like, hey, find the guy you like or gal, use that person.
Yeah, and you've hinted at a key point. We've definitely, there's a reason why, you are one of the people we're launching ACP with. We've definitely curated a group of expert strategist traders that we feel are really well equipped to help our users. Now, we've been working with you, Larry, for a little while now. It's been fantastic, not just on your plugin, but on StockCharts TV and other places. Can you tell me, why are you partnering with StockCharts?
Yeah, because I'm getting old. and I see this whole revolution. I started with paper charts. And then Bill Cruz got the idea of doing something called what eventually became TradeStation. We went into computers and computer charts. And then everybody had software in their computer, really expensive. You got to bring data in. You got to bring all this stuff in. And then you guys come along with the ultimate solution. Online, you don't have to bring in the data. The data's there. You've got the indicators there. I mean, this is everything that a trader could want. It's a one-stop shopping, and it's low-cost shopping. What could be better for a trade? It's all there. And the problem with some of these softwares, you got to go online. You can't get it. It's not in your computer. And anytime I can get online, any place in the world, StockCharts.com. I can go there and get it. I can see what Larry Williams is thinking or somebody else is thinking, what they should be doing in the market. So the adaptability of it, the flexibility of it, I think this is the wave of the future. To have this stuff in the cloud, we can access it, come out of it. We don't have incredibly expensive data fees, data charges, high software charges. This is going to revolutionize the business.
That's fantastic, and thanks for the kind words, Larry. So let me ask you this: we're recording this sort of mid-September. You mentioned applying this combination of fundamental and technical. Give us a quick rundown. Where do you see things right now for the broad markets? Right, the overall equity environment has been a series of strength, but all of a sudden you're getting rotation in the last week or two, and a lot of people are wondering whether this is the beginning of much further downside correction, or if this is the pause that refreshes before we resume to the upside. How would you answer that question at this point?
Well, big question. So I'll try to focus on things I think are most critical. It's now September 14th, I think, 15th, somewhere in that time period. We're going to see, I'm long the S&Ps right now. I expect to rally a little bit higher another day or two. This is done on a Tuesday. And then I think we're going to have a pretty good sell-off in this market. But it's not the start of a bear market yet, at least. Shortly before the election, or maybe right after the election, you're going to see a pretty good rally in this market. That's typical. It usually happens after an election. It doesn't matter what dirty dog gets elected. People are so happy to get rid of the television commercial, they buy stocks and the market's rallying. We've got a good buy point coming up there. Then I'm going to get a little concerned because I see way too many people fundamentally trading the market that have no business in the market. P ratios are exorbitantly high. Yields are low. There's a lot of fundamental chinks here, but market tops don't just top like that. They're broad. As you know, Dave, from here, it's going to go on and on and on, bore you to death, then boom, down comes a decline. So I'm looking for a pretty good sell signal, but we still need more time for that to develop. So I'm still very bullish from the lows of earlier this year that, as you know, we called on StockCharts.com.
Absolutely right. So Larry, this has been such a pleasure to catch up with you. Any final thoughts for our viewers as we wrap up this discussion on your ACP plugin?
Well, yeah, I've done a lot of thinking about what makes really winning traders. And one of the things of my thoughts is Tiger Woods goes out and hits a golf ball 6 hours a day. And we just look at a chart for a few minutes and make up a decision. I think paper trading is way underrated. To learn about the markets, you go out and drive golf balls 6 hours a day. You learn how to hit a golf ball. We rush into this stuff because it's so emotional. That we need to study the markets more. So I'm devoting an hour a day, every single day. Like, I'm going to go back and look at these indicators in the past, my own emotions in the past. The more you study, because I believe that mastery is a function of repetition. The more you repeat something, the better you get at it. So just have one trade in the future, that doesn't do it for you. You need to study, and which is what I've done for almost 60 years, study the past, learn from it. And you can do that on StockCharts.com. So there's a lot of answers in the past that are going to help make the future a little easier.
Those are great words of wisdom for anyone, I think, at any stage in their investment journey, Larry. Larry Williams, thanks so much for joining us. Great to talk to you today. And we'll look forward to seeing great things from you on StockCharts.com more in the future.
And so I hope at this point you now have a better idea how StockChartsACP combined with ACP plugins can help you become a better investor. In addition, I hope you can see how ACP will continue to grow and improve over time. Currently, there are 5 other plugins beyond the ones we've talked about today that are in the works, with more to come after that. Okay, so now I want to switch gears and talk about another very exciting aspect of StockChartsACP, trading directly from your charts. Technical analysis is constantly prompting you to take action. It's constantly showing you sell signals, buy signals, having you move your stops, so on and so forth. With StockChartsACP, taking action has never been easier. Introducing chart-based trading. And now it's time for my special guest and some special announcements. Dan Raju is the president and CEO of Tradier Brokerages. Tradier is a new revolutionary kind of brokerage, a brokerage that is API-based instead of the more traditional, we do it all and charge you all for it. StockCharts is partnering with Tradier to bring free equities and trading to StockChartsACP. As a result of this partnership, anybody can now trade stocks for free directly from StockChartsACP. That's truly exciting. And so welcome, Dan, and thanks for joining us.
Happy to talk to you today, Chip. Chip, you have really built a great company. Thanks for putting this event together. I'm really excited. I've been following the videos over the last couple of hours. ACP is truly exciting. We at Tradier are really excited to be a part of what you folks are doing. I'm so happy to be with you.
Terrific. Dan, these are really exciting times for online traders. So much is changing, so much is improving. What can you tell us about the history of online trading in general and equity trading via Tradier in particular?
Absolutely. I mean, these are really, really exciting times. Most brokers like us, most sizable brokers like us have had, almost like 200% growth in the last 6 months during this pandemic times. But, in addition to how exciting it is today, what's more fascinating is also how we got here, right? And so I think that is, that's the most fascinating part about all of this is how over the last 2 decades we got here. Online trading has had a fascinating past. I guess a few of the older guys, Chip, like you and me, are fortunate to have been a part of this growth. And some of us have had the luxury of having a few scars on our back and navigating through the ups and downs. But what is fascinating is how we started and how we got here. So it kind of, I'm not going to bore everyone with a lot of detail, but I'm going to set the stage for how we got here. It kind of started when we were much younger, I guess, in the late 80s, early 90s, when the idea of actually trading from the telephone, punching into a phone, was introduced by firms like Schwab and Fidelity, but it kind of never kicked off. There was some excitement about it, but never. It's too inconvenient. Never really took on any considerable shape. And the industry struggled to get it into the hands of people. They kind of coupled that with discount trading, but never really kicked off. Till in 1996, a few online firms first started introducing a concept of a truly brokerage experience. and I think completely online trading. I think that was 1996, 97 was a real time, I think, where traders really got into the idea of, hey, I could actually just be in front of a computer and do everything that I need to do. It was still clumsy. It was still, I guess, clunky, but I think the market really adopted that. I do remember at that time, when we in 2000, we reached about 8 to 10 million retail investors. I mean, we thought it was the greatest thing that we've ever seen. But I think nobody had guessed that you would come to a time by 2020 today where you would have 100 million traders. But still, at that time, it was superb and it was exciting. But I think what happened after 2002, the market started introducing a level of sophistication. I think the first signs of sophistication we saw in 2002, and by 2005, right? And by 2005, the sophistication reached a state of adoption. And I think there was a demand for people to visualize financial data, allow better analysis of the market. People wanted to monitor their portfolios in real time. And a whole bunch of firms, including firms like StockCharts, right, have had a significant role in enabling that retail investor, right? The idea for him to be able to sit in front of a computer and have the tools to be able to analyze the market was really kind of took shape by 2005. By 2007, I mean, we had a complete new influx of what we call as just not sophistication, but active traders. For the first time, we started talking about traders who trade more than 10 times a month. I mean, that was kind of very difficult to imagine in any broad sense. And by 2008-ish, 9-ish timeframe, and that market has literally boomed to over 30 million retail traders, right? And it is that pace of adding a lot of retail investors to the market that has continued up to today. And today we have, like I was saying, close to 100 million retail brokerage accounts in the country funded. But this is kind of the market today. If you really, really take a look at it, you've got a very, very vibrant market right now that has roughly around, 100 million traders. Out of that, 50 million traders kind of trade less than 3 times, many of them 0. And then you have an entire 40 to 50 million traders who trade more than 3 times. And out of that 50 million traders, there are roughly about 10 million traders that actually trade more than 10 times. For the first time in that market got created starting 2010, where there is the segment for extremely content-driven, hungry traders who are looking for great tools, looking for platforms like StockCharts, doing analysis, and trying to actually get an edge into the market. And I think that was the stage that was set. I mean, I think more recently, if you take a look at it, what has happened in the last, I would say, 2 years in particular, and the last 7-8 months in more particularly is, I think this entire vibrant market kind of almost got, fuel on the fire. And I think with the advent of, almost like I wrote about this on NASDAQ.com a few weeks ago, with the advent of these stay-at-home, hyper-connected, hyper-engaged trader who has a lot of time, is engaged with the market, very, very conscious about what happens and how the market reacts. You now have a very, very active trader who basically is very, very engaged, understands volatility, and I think, and so we have come a long way from that, trader who was actually trying to trade on the telephone to a point where you literally have over 50 million traders engaging more than 3 times a month. So it has been an amazing, fascinating experience. And I think, sometime I would say, I was involved. I was a CIO for a large broker dealer before this. And after we sold that business, I moved on to basically, starting Tradier with some of the smartest folks I ever met. And we really wanted to basically take care of these active traders, right? We felt like everybody is different, and and they have their own custom needs. They're looking for technical analysis. They're looking for research, news, content, education, and we really wanted to cater to that need. So that was the inception of the idea of Tradier, in the sense that we said the best way to serve these active traders is to partner with the best. So the idea was, we are going to partner with the best platforms that active traders use, who are serving the best customer. And if we can partner with them in a very innovative way, we are truly going to serve the active trading market. So that's the concept of the API. So what we today do is that we partner with some of the best platforms like StockCharts. We partner with them to deliver what we think is the best product in the market. At the end of the day, the customer is benefiting. The customer is benefiting from the fact that he not only can use the best platform that's there in the market, of the most customizable platform that he has at his fingertips, but be able to consummate the trade. So together with partnerships and what we are doing with StockCharts, what we are literally doing is getting the customer a one place, one size fits all kind of a platform where he can use the platform, trade, and get the best experience, the best execution, all bundled into an amazing platform that customers like. So I think that is the history. So I mean, we started off with a rapid growing industry to today. Tradier has grown to be one of the larger online brokerage firms. I mean, we cater to some of the most active traders in the market. And most importantly, we got hundreds of active traders who rely on us to get them the best execution and deliver with them the best partnership that I think the market can produce. So very excited about it. And for me, this relationship with StockCharts and Chip and the team is absolutely strategic for Tradier. And we're so happy that we have come to a point where launching this platform.
Well, Dan, no, we agree as well. We think the approach that you're taking with Tradier is spot on. Your point about active and engaged traders and needing to reach them and give them the tools they need to stay engaged in the market, it's 100% what we're trying to do here with StockChartsACP. I think we've taken a big step forward with that tool. Now, there's something else that's been going on recently too. You and I were talking about before. It's another growing trend in online options trading. How's that going?
Oh my God. And I have never, ever seen so many options traders enter the market. I think you have a perfect confluence that has actually, made this industry so what I call as vibrant. But I think the early stages of this kind of started in 2005, where for the first time, semi-institutional, sophisticated, highly active trading got created. And I think what basically has happened is, as good education and good platforms got launched into the market, it enabled active traders to engage in ways like they've never done before, right? And particularly, the last 8 years have seen, all the way from 2003 to 2013 to 2020, have seen a massive increase in the amount of options traders. We believe there are roughly around 20 million options traders in the market who actually have placed an options trade, which is sizable for a market that didn't practically exist about less than 15 years ago. So today, as it stands right now, options has become a mainstream, right? A lot of those original misconceptions that people would have had in the past about options being risky, it's meant for a highly sophisticated trader, and those kind of fears have evaporated. You have got this perfect mix of great tools like StockCharts in the market, great execution from firms like Tradier, and that combined with good content and education has really catapulted this industry to be a mainstream industry. I'll give you one interesting fact. Firms like us, 80% of our volume that we do is options today. I mean, I come from an industry exactly 12 years ago, hardly 15% of the volume, if that, would have been options. So almost 80% is just not us. If you take a look at the other large brokerage firms, that is exactly the case. We have delivered those brokerage services in a totally different way. And I think a lot of this credit for options becoming mainstream is a lot of credit goes to what I call as educators and technical analysis and research-based platforms. I think they have literally given the retail investor a way to visualize the market, get an edge on the market and be able to monitor his or her portfolio in ways like they've never done before. See, more and more traders are looking at options to kind of some to increase their leverage, and most importantly, they look at options as a way to manage a volatile market. And so now you've got this amazing phase in the history of this industry where you have, I mean, I don't know how many people have seen more volatile markets than what we have seen recently. So a combination of these volatile markets, great tools, and firms and partnerships like what we are doing with StockCharts is literally making options mainstream and getting it into the hands of the people. So options is a mainstream online instrument. It is employed by some of the most active traders, and you're seeing a lot of the younger millennial traders also now getting into the market. So options trading is really, really exciting for us.
No, and we agree. And the trend that you're pointing out there, I think, is extremely important to be aware of. So because of those kinds of changes, Dan, we have another exciting announcement to make. We want to make it jointly, but why don't you do the honors here? This is something I'm really excited about.
Yeah, I can't wait. I mean, see, we are partnering with ACP to offer unlimited equity and options trade for $25 flat. You can trade unlimited number of trades. You can trade unlimited number of contracts. There is no per contract fee. We are solving the most important problem that exists in the market. If you are an equity trader or an options trader, you still are paying commissions bundled into all kinds of fees. You still are paying 65 cents an options contract in the market. So what happened was the team at StockCharts and the Tradier team, Chip, and I, all of us got together and said, we got to find a way to serve the retail investor. We got to find a way to enable him in the way that we are delivering the most transparent and the most seamless experience where the customer knows what he gets into, and we are going to enable him with something different that didn't exist today. And so that conversation led us to this, what I thought was a brilliant concept called, let's create a Netflix kind of a pricing, all capped at $25, and customers cannot worry about commissions anymore. So I'm so excited about this. I really think it's going to shake things up. I mean, you have now come to a point where we are that pinnacle movement where we are letting people kind of not worry about commissions in addition to that, and giving them all the capabilities, all the functionalities, all the customizability that something like StockCharts produces, and then giving it to them in one flat Netflix kind of a pricing, all you can eat. And so I think it'll change the way we trade.
That's very, very exciting. Unlimited options trading for only $25 a month. I think that's unheard of. I think it's extremely exciting. I did want to take just a second, if we cut over, and we'll actually see the star of our show here live in action. This is StockChartsACP on my computer, and I wanted to make sure everyone saw where they could go. You can, again, StockCharts.com/ACP to start this up. It's free. And you can click here to see all the information about the Tradier brokerage. And actually just above that, you can also click and see all the information about plugins and all the different plugins we talked about earlier. So I want to encourage everyone to take some time and kick the tires on StockChartsACP. And I encourage you to get a brokerage account with Tradier through StockChartsACP. You'll be able to trade equities for free, and now options at this flat rate of $25 a month. I want to take a moment and thank Dan and his team for their hard work helping us create and grow this partnership with Tradier. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Chip, and the team. Really excited about this.
I really appreciate it. And again, StockChartsACP, to wrap this up, it's highly interactive, it's highly customizable, it's highly extensible, with streaming technical data and direct from the chart trading. It's a real game changer for online investors. It's available now for free at StockCharts.com/ACP. We'd love for you to check it out and let us know what you think. Oh, and there's one more thing. For the next month, as an introductory offer, $25 isn't the price for online options trading. We're going to provide unlimited options trading via ACP through StockCharts and Tradier for the introductory rate of only $20. This is the best price anywhere for options traders. I'm confident of that. And as I showed you, just click on the Tradier icon inside the StockChartsACP app to get started. So with that, I'd like to thank you for spending time with us today. Hopefully this has been informative. Hopefully you'll get a chance to try out all these tools and all these capabilities we've been showing you. It's again another major step in my journey with StockCharts and with StockCharts' journey overall. Hopefully you can become a better investor using these tools. So until next time, thank you very much, and I will see you later.
StockChartsACP, the web's most advanced, interactive financial charting platform, now has commission-free trading through its integration with Tradier Brokerage. You've worked hard for your money, so why pay per option contract? You get commission-free stock and options trading included by signing up for ACP's award-winning financial charting for just $25 per month, only at Tradier Brokerage. Whether you're a seasoned investor, new to the game, or somewhere in between, Tradier Brokerage simplifies the trading experience. You can seamlessly combine analysis and action by trading stocks, ETFs, and options right from ACP. What makes this integration even better? Should you need assistance, Tradier's incredible service team is ready to answer your calls or respond to your emails. If you want innovation and experience, visit StockCharts.com/Tradier to open your Tradier Brokerage integrated account today.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is StockChartsACP, our advanced charting platform. That's A for advanced, featuring insights, indicators, and plugins from some of the most successful traders and strategists in the industry. That's C for charting. You're not going to believe how easy it is to analyze price movements, manipulate the charts to move things around. It's a dynamic, fluid, interactive environment. That's P for platform. This is the place where you can manage your watch list, follow your portfolio, find out what's working and what isn't, and even make trades directly from the chart. The best news is it's all included in your StockCharts.com membership, and it's ready today. Just go to StockCharts.com/ACP to check it out. If you have any questions along the way, just contact our support team. They're ready to help you. You can contact them right through ACP. We could not be any more excited to share StockChartsACP with you today. I want to thank our special guests, John Murphy, Ralph Acampora, Martin Pring, Dave Landry, Mish Schneider, Arthur Hill, Larry Williams, Dan Raju from Tradier Brokerage for helping us describe the benefits of StockChartsACP. On behalf of Chip Anderson, Grayson Roze, and the entire StockCharts team here in Redmond, Washington, I'm Dave Keller. Be well, chart safely, and we'll see you again soon.
Hey, Grayson Roze here with StockCharts. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, consider giving it a like down below, maybe leave us a comment, and if you're new to the channel, you can subscribe at the link up above. We're gonna bring you daily content from an incredible collection of technical analysts and financial experts.